Hi everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and today I'm playing in the tier 10 Soviet light tank is the T-100LT, and this battle is going to have a war for the top gun. So when exactly that's going to happen, you'll just have to wait and see for when it's going to be appearing in this battle. So when I play on Junkie, I want to be as aggressive as I can be, try and get forwards and try to extend the vision for my team. But wow, that position, I did not expect there to be firstly, a 13105 policing the middle of the map as well, and also a Progetto who's managed to make their way into that bush to spot us across. So maybe taking a T-100LT as aggressively forward as this might be a little bit too risky, but it does allow us to apply some pressure to anyone who decides to be aggressive into the middle of the map, and also, once we've dealt with a 13105, if our team has pushed the dip, then we can go and help them towards the south. So sometimes it's all about taking risks, and whether the risks are reckless or not is just kind of feeling out. Making a play like this in an EBR 105 would definitely be the correct thing because you're fast enough to get in and get out. But the T-100LT, as we can see with an Object 907 now advancing up towards me and a UDES as well, is no slouch. It's fast, it's nimble, and more importantly, because of its low silhouette, it's actually got incredibly good camo rating. It's the all-purpose light tank, although its gun is rather lackluster at everything apart from firing quickly and managing to achieve good DPM. But apart from that, this vehicle's absolutely great. So by leaving that position, now we've left our opponents hopefully in the middle where they're not really going to do too much. But oh my word, I didn't expect the 907 to push up there as aggressively as they did. They hit me on the move. But thinking about it, the push play that the 907 has made is optimal, I feel. Because if we don't manage to hold the south, then the center of the map just becomes a wonderful opportunity. Because that position that the 907 is in doesn't have to be concerned about getting shot from the side, especially by lots of tanks that usually camp around the, I guess it's a church over here. And they'll get shots from there all the way across there. But when the 907 doesn't have to worry about that, it's actually a great push play. And I immediately knew that we were going to have a fight on our hands here. So this game, our team just hasn't managed to hold the south, and they just haven't managed to get that much assistance in, even though we've been pushing to the front and trying to contest as much as we possibly can. And it's one of these kinds of games where I can't really blame the team. I can't really blame their shots, because I just think it's that the enemy team are playing really well. And unfortunately, our 1390 there, who we managed to hopefully save from the K91 PT, falls to a 60 TP. But where one falls, one shall take their place. And that is that we're going to go and continue to extend the vision that the 1390 was managing to put out. But yeah, once again, I'd just like to reiterate that there are some teams that I just feel are playing really poorly. And I think that there are some teams that really, they're just getting outplayed because the enemy team is better. And I think that's what the case is here. The enemy are just taking great positions. They're covering each other's crossfire. Their light tanks are supporting the advance. And while I think maybe what the K91 PT did was more reckless than a calculated risk, I knew that in this battle we're going to have a huge impact if we're going to have to, if we want to stand a chance of taking this one down. So the 60 TP is now caught out, doesn't actually manage to spot me, which I was quite surprised about. But I need to just keep chunking in damage. And again, I'm really surprised that I don't get spotted when I'm firing at this 60 TP, but maybe the trees are giving me a little bit of concealment here. And luckily, the EBR 90, it may be fast, but it really has very poor view range. So even if you set that thing up with vent, coated optics, and a commander's vision system, it still might not even be able to see me in situations like this. So I feel like, shall I just sit there and just keep spotting, or shall I take risks? And this is where I think, like, the risks must happen. And unfortunately, the T-90 249 does manage to spot me here, but hopefully I can wiggle my way to the wreck of where the 1390 was. And was that an HE shell that 60 TP just fired there? I'm very lucky to still be maintaining all of my hit points. But sometimes you just got to push your luck. And when your team is down, as it was, by thousands of hit points, and if the enemy managed to consolidate their position towards the south, then the whole of my base would fall, and then the game would inevitably be a loss. And even though we're up to 2,500 damage in our T-100LT, and now up to 3,000 assistance as well, this game is still neck and neck. We are down by 2,500 hit points, but we actually have a tank advantage. So hopefully some of those low health TDs are going to be able to help out and get some more shots in. And there's that EBR-90. I wanted to wait for as long as I can. If you have a tank that's caught out in position, it's very rude to let them know that they're spotted by firing at them. So I'll aim at them and I'll wait if I know that it's a clean shot. And then I should still have the opportunity to react and be able to get a shot at them before they pull back. And the advantage of that, if you know that you can't destroy them with just your shell, is that hopefully one of your team manages to hit them, which allows you to either finish them off, or it's not about like stealing the kill, it's more about confirming the kill. And why would you let somebody who's doing something stupid know that they are doing something stupid? And by like leaving them there for a little bit longer and maybe giving your team, who maybe have to reposition to be able to get a shot, you can then get multiple shots in against your opponents. And in these kind of close games, it's not so much about what you do individually. You know, those kind of games where you're just trying to farm and try to get as much as you possibly can. That's where you're probably just trying to pump out the DP, the damage, as much as you can. But in these kind of rounds, you've got to try and use every little tactic at your disposal to try and get through. So unfortunately for me, I was really worried at this stage that the heavy tanks were not going to be able to interrupt the cap circle, but it looks like an artillery shell, or maybe the SDB-1, actually manages to get the interrupt, and so I don't have to worry so much about coming and defending the cap circle. We've got another minute left, as this is an encounter, and it does take twice as long to be able to cap out, so we've got a little bit of a respite here. So there's that cheeky Progetto who managed to spot me earlier on in the game, still on full health, until we managed to get a shot into them there. We managed to track them, forcing them to use their repair kit, and it looks like maybe the Progetto or the SDB-1 managed to put in an additional shot. But I managed to actually lose a good chunk of hit points there against the TVP. Luckily, that great frontal armor on this vehicle, well, not great, but well-angled frontal armor on this vehicle, managed to ricochet the subsequent shell from the TVP. And you can see how insistent I am that we need to try and push through here, because I was really worried that the T-55A and the UDES 16 would be able to shove through and maybe gain an advantage. And considering how many hit points we have on the SDB-1 and the Progetto, really all of our hit points are stacked in this area. So you'll see that I'm going to become very impatient about trying to push through here. And I'm asking my friends, trying to let them know. But you know what? I'm not typing yet. So maybe they want me to kind of communicate the advance. So sometimes just asking for help, it's not obvious what you want your teammates to do when you suggest those things. And so take the time to type it out, is what QuickyBaby hopefully is going to do in a second. And then hopefully if we can manage to get the team to push through that flank, then we'll be able to put on some side pressure on the Object 907. Wow, great slam dunk there by the artillery, removing the hit points of the Progetto now to where me and the Progetto can manage to finish them off. So I say finally, guys, we can push and win, although I typed it a little bit poorly. I say, come with me. The Progetto says that he'll help me, and then that is all I need to know. So I'm going to flank down and around. I'm going to try and get the side of the Progetto, and we're going to put it around into the side, finish them off, and then go after the TVP. Unfortunately for the Progetto, he was the fall guy in this situation. But I still stand by the fact that we needed to make a push there. Because if we didn't, that 907 was just going to consolidate their position and slowly be able to cap out. And remember, the 3 tier 10 tanks, all camping, were not using all of the hit points pretty much that they had for the team, whereas we were kind of expecting all of the tier 9s to like look after the cap circle and to try and carry the battle. That's not going to happen. Luckily, we managed to push through. We finish off the Progetto. We finish off the reloading TVP. And now I'm thinking about going after Arty. And considering that I'm running low on ammunition, I'm actually going to change to HE shells on this tank. And now, up to 4 kills, I'm hoping it's going to be the 5th. But, okay, QuickyBabs, what are these kinds of shots? And I will fully admit, this is some disastrous play right now, trying to chase down this Arty. So I'm giving so much lead. But you know what's ridiculous about these shells? They have 460 meters a second shell velocity. And even though I'm giving an insane amount of lead, because the target is so far away from me, I need to actually aim lower to be able to get the shot in. And that one, I didn't actually give enough lead. And then I just go, okay, well, whatever. Let's just load the gold rounds on this vehicle, which are actually the armor-piercing rounds, bizarrely, on the T100 LT. And we managed to finish them off. And now I'm up to 5 kills. The Object 907 is up at 5 kills. Kill secured. The Battle of the Top Gun is won there. And I was just feeling absolutely alive at this moment. We did everything possible to be able to get through this battle, but it's still not done yet. Can you honestly believe that we are still pretty much even on hit points? And I've got 920 of the team's remaining 2,400 hit points. So it's up to me to be able to try and get the shots in. Now, the longer that I leave the UDES in the engagement against the Emil-2 and the IS-32 and the SDB-1, the worse it's going to get. If I just sit here the UDES could be hulled down against my team. So I'm really wanting to try and get in it, but I know that I can't get in it by myself, so I'm asking the tank destroyers to try and help me out. If the tank destroyers can approach through the south of the map, then I can manage to jump in along with them, and I'll undoubtedly be able to finish off the T-55A. But I guess my team wants to slow play it in this scenario, and considering that we have the cap, maybe we have the opportunity to slow play it. And then by them capping, they force the UDES to expose the rear of his tank, and then we can get a shot. But unfortunately, the UDES also finishes off the IS-32, and slowly but surely we're losing our numerical advantage against our opponents. But in this situation, in retrospect, I think I was a little bit too aggressive, and I should have just waited and let the artillery do their thing. We're going to put a round into the back of the T-55A, and looking at that fight, he can kill me in 3 shots, and I more times out of 10 will have to fire 3 shots at him. So I feel like he's going to have probably the better rate of fire if he set his vehicle up completely, and I don't take a gun rammer on this tank. I take vents with coated optics, I believe, and a commander's vision system for a hyper scouting build. I do have a second build on this vehicle, though, where I'll be using a gun rammer, but on a map like Stajunki, I think it was far more important that I focused on being the pure scout for my team. And also, as we can see, when you set your vehicle up to be a pure scout, it also allows you to do a lot of damage when you can spot your opponents and they can't see you. So, and again, a horrific shot there by me, but I've run out of the APCR rounds that have 1,200 meters a second shell velocity, and now we're down to these awful gold rounds on this vehicle that have 790. It's definitely one of the downsides of this vehicle, that the premium rounds are so poor compared to other tanks. But it's one of the features of the T100LT, and if the vehicle had great premium rounds as well, this vehicle would probably be outrageously good. Alright, so now it's just about finishing off this T-55A. And I'm still tryharding. I can imagine there could be a disaster in these kind of situations when you've managed to get your team this close to being a victory. The last thing that you want to do is to throw it away. I've seen stupider things than, shall we say, him managing to finish off these 3 low health tanks, and then the SDB-1 maybe resetting the cap circle. And if they reset the cap circle, they're not going to have enough time to be able to recap it. Alrighty then. So, Stridsvagn 1030 managing to make their way in. I tell them I'm going to help them out because once we get in a pincer maneuver, I'm pretty sure that at least one of us is going to be able to finish off the tank. So we get 1 shot in against the T-55A. They actually clutch shot us for 316. So now it's like a 50-50 whether I die in 2 shots. We put in an extra shell. We lose our engine. I should have repaired my engine a little bit quicker there. And I decide that I maybe got the better rate of fire than him. I guess I was wrong. The Emil-2 manages to finish it off. But still, this was the all-purpose, holistic light tank game where you have to get stuck in early to try and push the tempo. You have to try and then retreat to consolidate and to win a flank, and then to have that push play with the Progetto and the STB-1, and then the flanking plays. Oh, this is why I love light tanks in World of Tanks. And while not every game goes as well as this, when it does, by far the best class in the game. So an ace tanker here for our T100LT for 1,546 base experience, and while we dealt nearly 6,000 damage, that wasn't enough to get the high caliber medal, because the 907 on the enemy team did 6,500 damage, so commiserations to you for not taking down the game with a damage total that would win at least 90% of your battles. In addition, we get a patrol duty medal for managing to scout out 4,800, which makes this nearly an 11,000 combined battle of World of Tanks. Now, whenever I have these kind of games that really make me sweat, I always like to take a look at the win ratios of the enemy team. And yeah, I think we can see why this battle was making me sweat indeed. And this was one of the reasons why I used to enjoy using XVM. It wasn't because I would see this and then I would act with despair. It was that, wow, now we've got a real opportunity to test ourselves. And while the vast majority of the time, statistics don't lie, and a team that was that heavily stacked would usually win, well, sometimes at least it can still work out for you. Anyway, ladies and gents, boys and girls, that was it for today. Really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you hated it, give it a thumbs down. And also, just a heads up that if you're watching this video as it's released on Friday, Wargaming have given me the keys to a very special Blitztrager Alf 220, which, as you can see, has a special paint job. I'm going to be playing this on stream inside the queue, and if you manage to find me and you destroy me, then you're going to get yourself one of the Engineer Gate keys. So come along on stream or just look out for me on the battlefield, and hopefully you'll be able to take me down and maybe even win yourself some goodies from the key. And let me know what your favorite class of tanks to play in World of Tanks is, and why. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.